Hello, hello, name's Alan. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today we'll be playing another special build, i.e. we're going to be starting things off with two starter relics, the second of which will be a cursed run modifier from outside of the game. By run modifier I mean that it is an item that is usually somewhat detrimental to the player, but has at the very bottom line a gameplay changing, very notable effect. Today we are going to be using a run modifier very similarly to last week's. In fact, it's going to be the same, which is incredibly impactful on the overall way of playing this game. Every single build you build around this run modifier, or simply a build that you just slap this on, becomes trivial to play. It becomes incredibly overpowered regardless of how terrible the Arcana that you're using may actually be. In fact, there are certain abilities that I would otherwise consider horrible that this ability just enables entirely, that become incredibly busted, more busted than you would ever imagine. So today is not going to be a very long one. Today is not going to last very long whatsoever, regardless of how I actually happen to approach it, regardless of how you actually happen to approach the run modifier here. You can only stretch a run out for so long, and we are gonna simply be destroying absolutely everything that we come across. It's simply in the nature of the run modifier. So that having been said, you know what you're in for. I'd say let's get right into it, shall we? Today's build is called Defend the King, which is a metaphor, or the king rather, is a metaphor for our health bar. We are going to be able to die in one hit. I say that very loosely. However, the advantage from our run modifier will be just as strong. It will be just as cruel, rather, to our enemies as it will be to us. We will essentially have one permanent health, and there's just no way around that. So we have to defend ourselves, or rather our health bar. We have to quite literally be a bodyguard to ourselves, be a knight, a peasant, a servant, a slave, an assassin for those trying to assassinate us, in order to throw our bodies at our enemies and shut them down, stop them from trying to kill us. I like that image quite a lot. Say there's a bunch of assassins trying to poison the whale, or the king, the food, whatever the hell, trying to stab you with a dagger, a shank to the stomach, or to hit you with an arrow in the heart, for example, right? And you desperately have to try and avoid that. You have to try and mitigate that. You are the bodyguard, you are the only person aware of all that, and you have to defend the king, metaphorically, your health bar. You cannot under any circumstances let anything happen to that king, otherwise you will go down with them. I do like that image quite a lot, and that's precisely what today's one will feel like, as it is just a very much dumbed down version from last week's build, using the same run modifier, essentially the same build ID, but a very different initial approach. I built these builds simultaneously at the same time, that is, and today's build is easily my favorite. It plays out slightly different, and the starter relic number 1 especially will be much less powerful than last week's. Last week we did use Alice Glass Kite, mitigating the first 5 hits dealt to the player, i.e. you would not die. However, afterwards it would be destroyed. Today we'll be using a starter relic much less powerful, which sort of has a very similar effect, but I'd say we'll get to know that in a second. Let's start things off with our run modifier, as it is quite essential to the way this build works, and we won't have to talk about nearly as many things with this run modifier in our inventory, as it equalizes all the damage dealt. It is of course going to be chaotic comedy. Players and enemies alike are defeated in one hit. Oh my god, this thing is crazy overpowered and very, very advantageous towards the player. If you are a good player at this game, or heck, you don't even need to be a good player, just play an incredibly overpowered build like a jump plus cooler reduction type of build, you will destroy any and everything immediately. There's just no way anything can ever come back. Especially boss fights, they practically do not exist with this item, as there's always a cutscene before a boss, and then you get one free hit in, or multiple free hits rather, a regular run against the boss, and they die immediately. Even Sura, you hit once per phase, and you're done. So the only challenge, naturally, for this build is sort of walking up to the boss and killing it, but more specifically, I'd say it's doing flaws, surviving until you can actually get to the boss, not taking damage from traps, from pits, from whatever can just sneeze at you and you die. You have to be especially careful around floors, and that is quite challenging, let me tell you, as floors are way longer than boss fights. Getting to a boss tends to be a ton more difficult than actually doing that boss fight, completing it, especially without taking damage, right? When we just kill them in one hit. Anyway, everything kills us. Absolutely everything that you can think of in one hit. Regardless of what items we built, we can only try to mitigate this effect by essentially making us revive every time we die, or similar effects like evasion, for example, whether it be by abilities, whether it be by items or whatnot. So there's no way you can stack up armor, for example. There's no way you can stack up shield either, and then just ignore this effect entirely. You have to actually evade damage or evade dying in some sort of fashion, which is, if you've ever played this game before, like, you would know that it's very, very hard coming by items that are, first of all, affordable, that actually help you stay alive, or even abilities for that matter. It's just not trivial whatsoever. So, of course, we have to build around this thing as much as humanly possible to try and remain alive. But as I mentioned earlier, you can build whatever you want, as everything will kill absolutely everything in one hit either way. So you might as well build one of the trashiest builds that you can come up with. I decided to stick with this theme and try to be the best bodyguard that I can be. However, as a real bodyguard, I pretty much only have one life, right? I can't be shot so many times. Rather, I can only be shot so many times until I actually perish. So I'd say let's continue the build in traditional order going forward. Of course, starting things off with our Robe, which will be the Temper Robe. In my opinion, there are only 2 or maybe 3 stats worth consideration, or even remotely worth consideration, or even remotely worth taking, in other words, for this particular run modifier, as any additional damage dealt is worthless. I kill everything in one hit, I deal infinity damage, or rather everything only has 1 health, so I deal 1 damage to any and everything, regardless of my crit chance, for example, or my signature charge gain, or my Venture Robe 10% extra damage reduction, 10% extra base damage increase. I could even run a level rope, right, theoretically, but what advantage would that bring me? None is the answer. None whatsoever. So instead, I decided to run the only logical choice here, which is the Temper Robe, or arguably the Shift Robe. Shift increases your evade chance, which is nice. So when you take damage, you have a very tiny evasion chance, a chance to evade all damage taken and not be stun locked for that 1 hit that you evaded. However, if there's a multi-hit ability hitting you, you're fucked. You're done for. Because this evasion chance has to proc on every single hit for you to not take any damage and therefore die. So evasion is a lot less reliable, and there's not a whole lot of it in the game in the first place. It's all cursed relics pretty much, or evading Zephyr, which is a very expensive ability at 175 plus gold. So make it that what you will. Evasion is just not very reliable. Instead, we're going to be using what I consider a lot more consistent and a lot better, therefore, more often, which is cooldown reduction by the Temper Robe, my favorite robe in this game. This robe grants 15% increased cooldown reduction, or innate cooldown reduction, which can be alleviated to a whopping 22.5 or 22.25, not sure, percent by upgrading it, which is crazy good. That's more than 1/5 of cooldown reduction. Just cut your cooldown, subtract 1/5. It's fantastic. It enables abilities with an already very low cooldown, cutting their cooldown even further, or abilities with a very long cooldown like the chaotic Arcana Absolute Finale, for example, which holds a very dear place to my heart. Incredibly busted ability with an appropriately as long cooldown, so you can just cut its cooldown by a huge amount. Of course, this is a percentage based cooldown reduction, as with pretty much everything in the game. That means the longer the innate cooldown, the more cooldown reduction this will grant, which is incredible. It's so freaking powerful. It enables combo builds. It pairs incredibly well with not only abilities, but also starter relics. It's so freaking busted. I love this robe so much. It also increases your run speed by 10% innately, which isn't super important, but when you die in one hit, it helps you out a little bit. I'd say that's the third somewhat relevant stat, beside evasion and cooldown reduction, and it's easily slightly more consistent than evasion, but usually not super helpful. But then again, it could help you out. I don't know when you would actually try to rely on run speed, but I mean, you could do that if you wanted to. So, tempo cooldown reduction, so we can kill more things more often, more quickly in one single hit using our incredibly overpowered run modifier. Very simple, right? We definitely want the upgrade so we can do things even more, so have even less downtimes in between clearing rooms, having to wait on abilities, have even more safety, being able to spam abilities more often, to more reliably kill everything that's in the room, etc, etc, etc. It's very, very simple. Just get cooldown reduction as much as humanly possible so you can kill everything. You can even get stuff like a double toil, for example, which doubles the damage you take, which doesn't really matter at all when you die in one hit, but also halves your cooldowns, or in other words, doubles your cooldown reduction, which works incredibly well with the tempo robe. It's just so busted. Let's get into our starter relic though, which is my god, I'm talking too fast for myself here. I have to slow down a little bit. It is a defensive relic that I would never, under any circumstances, consider or recommend using as a starter relic for a regular run. You can already see it down there. It's gonna be the Bach's escape key, one of the revamp items and easily the least reliable one out of all of them, and probably the worst one. Arguably, Scissors of Vitality could be worse, but at least it doesn't get destroyed or anything. Bach's escape key, not so much. So, let's take a look at it. Adds a chance to resist defeat, but become less effective each time it activates. This relic is destroyed when dropped. Similar to last week's Allah's Glass Guide, you cannot drop this temporarily or permanently. It gets destroyed immediately. You can't discard it, therefore. You can't save it from being consumed by a mimic, for example, or by Noxus Cloak or similarly working items. This is bound to be either in your inventory or in the limbo, destroyed for all eternity, which is not really super important if you think about it. Like, you usually don't want to discount this anyway. Usually it doesn't take up a necessary space in your inventory. Usually this is already a pretty damn strong item. When you actually come across this in a run, it's one of those very expensive 175 gold plus relics, which I believe could be lowered to like 100 or 50 gold, and it would still not be very good regardless. So initially, this has a 100% chance of reviving you on death, but then that chance is cut in half every time it procs. So from 100, it already goes down to 50, to 25, and so on and so forth. 50% chance, that's already a coin toss. You can guess at that point, am I gonna die, or am I gonna live? And gambling is not useful at all. It's very, very inconsistent. You can't rely on it whatsoever. 50% should already be considered, well, you're likely just dead. You are both alive and dead. You're Schrodinger's cat. So this is just a single revive to me personally, but with the chance of gambling for more. Meaning that this is effectively only a fifth of the power of Allah's Glass Guide, for example, or a Flower Crown, which revives you once per stage, which is incredible. That's 100% guaranteed revive per stage. Also, refueling or refilling your entire signature bar. That's just incredible compared to the Bach's escape key, which is so freaking lackluster and terrible. This item is only ever worth picking up late game in a run where you already have a ton of damage, but you would die in a hit or two from a double trouble or double toil, whatever other items you get that make you take increased damage or that lower your health, for example. So in a regular run, it's already very niche, and it's only very temporarily useful, usually in a single boss fight, and then that's it. You just drop it immediately after, or you get it destroyed intentionally in the process, or unintentionally, however it may be. However, running this as an extra starter relic, you are guaranteed to break this at some point. And by break, of course, I mean to lower its chance from 100 down to something a lot less reliable. 50%, as I said, I kind of rely on sometimes, like it can save a run, but less than 50% is just too unlikely to ever even matter. So, for that reason and that reason alone, I would highly recommend you pick up a different starter relic instead, but I want to make things a lot more difficult on myself, as last week's run was just way too easy, so today I want to make things way too difficult on myself and very likely perish in the process. Let's move on to the abilities though. This is easily the most fun and interesting part about this build. Now, we won't be looking at the damages that these abilities deal individually, as it's simply not going to matter for this context, and this is, I promise to you, a fairly low damage build anyway, so it's quite uneventful looking at the actual base damage of these abilities. However, in the context of this run, these abilities are all fantastic, and the main reason I decided to go for a full lightning build, which I really like a lot. Lightning generally is the color, or the element, so to speak, of crowd control, I'd say, of abilities that hit very frequently but deal a very low amount of damage, that shock frequently also, which shock, of course, is a debuff that hits very often, very frequently, but for very tiny amounts of damage every single tick. So yeah, there's that. You can pair it generally well with crit chance, as you hit very often. So say you have Vampire's Eyeglasses and a bunch of crit chance and lightning abilities, you can rapidly heal yourself back up. It's a very well-known beginner's type of combo, or an amateur build type of combo. You need just a bunch of lightning abilities and one of these items that heal you on hit, and you should be good to go. Whether it be the regenerative Blades of Sympathy, or whether it be Vampire's Eyeglasses, or anything similar that you can come up with. It also generally generates a lot of signature charge, and doesn't have the most powerful signature abilities, as usually lightning deals rather low damage but hits very frequently, which is just a common theme throughout this element. So what does that mean? Why would we want to hit frequently? Well, we don't really want to do that. We are just going to be using lightning, as lightning also tends to be able to be sort of magnetic, to be able to hit entire rooms, to ricochet between enemies. That means if you were to hit a certain enemy, that lightning ability might bounce to another enemy, and so on and so forth. It might cause us it might cause chains of lightning, quite literally, throughout the room. And that's precisely why we are going to be using lightning here today. Arguably, you can make a point for any other element here as well, though I decided to run this bodyguard build to be the best bodyguard that I humanly can. Not try, I already said that before, but that's gonna be the main intent for this build here today. So let's start things off with our basic. I had to debate which basic to go for here for a while, as I didn't initially want to run a full lightning build. I had these other 3 lightning abilities, and then Chaotic Crusher, right? It's called Chaos Crusher. The Chaos basic, because it's just so overpowered. It's super versatile, it's melee, it's range, it hits multiple times, it's piercing, it's long range. It's just so freaking busted. But then I decided against it. Ultimately, I wanted a full lightning build, which just feels a lot more cohesive and a lot fairer to the run. I decided to run Volt Disc, ultimately, which is a projectile with quite a short range, I gotta admit. Which usually hits for a very consistent amount of damage, regardless of what kind of tick of damage you're dealing. So you can tap it. It's a tapped ability, so it shoots as fast as you can tap, with a downtime between every 3 usages of this ability. So if I tap as fast as I can here, you can tell there's a downtime. I'm tapping non-stop, but there's always a downtime in between individual uses of this ability, ultimately speaking. Now, by itself, this ability is nothing wild. It can hit multiple enemies, which is quite special for a basic account of this caliber. It's usually this type of single target projectile, right? It looks like a very typical single target projectile, which would only be able to hit a single target and then bounce or something, or pop entirely, right? It wouldn't be able to connect to anything else, like a bouncing blaze, for example, or any of the other bajillions of projectiles in this game that actually do that. However, it can hit large groups of enemies like so. They just have to be very close to one another. It has quite a lot of width. I'd say this hits in a circular area, which is fantastic, but that's also not why we will be using it. We will be using it for its enhancement, which is entirely mandatory for today's build, which makes the disc bounce between targets at a very, very high range. I could essentially hit this target dummy and it will bounce from here all the way over here, hitting an additional target every single time I were to hit this initial target. Now, since I kill everything in one hit, this is a guaranteed kill to enemies in the current room that you are in, as long as they are somewhat close to each other. They merely have to be on the same screen, essentially. This has a massive range. It's incredible, especially when considering that this is a basic Arcana. And basic Arcana, generally speaking, are very underwhelming compared to standards and signatures. This, not so much. Especially with today's run modifier, this is incredibly powerful, more busted than a vast majority of standard and signature abilities in this game. It's so freaking good. It's a kill too. Every single time you use it. So good. So freaking good. So, you want the enhancement, and you want it right away. Moving on to our dash, it's gonna be Circuit Light, one that I pretty much never use. I don't think you've ever seen me use it, maybe in boss rush, but even there it's very, very niche. It has 3 charges innately. Essentially every time you dash, you leave behind a line in the entire motion that you dash, like so. And that line will proc after a few seconds, and all of those tiny balls of lightning, or the sparks, will connect to one another, building a chain lightning. As you can use this ability thrice innately, you can build all sorts of shapes like that, like an L or a square, or whatever the hell else, to try and zone out enemies and to therefore kill them in one hit. This ability by itself doesn't deal a lot of damage without our run modifier, but when taking into consideration that you can use it thrice, and all of these streams will deal that damage individually, like so, it can dish out huge amounts of AoE damage, and when enhanced, the damage gets increased even more, so the lightning chains deal additional damage, quite literally here, which is very, very, very good, when considering that you can put extra charges on it, that you can put cooldown reduction on it, that there's always at least 1 or 2 charges in this, due to multiple charges recharging rather quickly. Individually speaking, charged abilities recharge their charges very, very quickly, generally speaking. So you always have at least 1 charge of this, and slapping additional cooldown reduction or charges on it is very, very useful, generally speaking. It also combines neatly with very niche items that require for you to dash often. It's just very special in that this is pretty much the only dash in the game that can be used in that particular way. You can use it intentionally to hurt enemies positioned in like an L or a C shape, for example, which is very unique, by the way. Nothing else in this game can do that so specifically, so efficiently as this dash. It's quite unique in that regard, but you have to be very meticulous in terms of how you aim it, which isn't very hard, let's be honest. It's a dash, right? You control where these things are gonna go simply by dashing into that direction, which can even be done very effectively on a controller, so it should be able to be done on any given system. It's really not that hard. But also, it's unique in the sense that it has 3 charges right out of the gates. It profits a lot off of a lot of weird things, like I mentioned, things that require you to dash a lot, things that grant you more charges, that grant you a ton of cooldown reduction, which are usually very generic stats or very weirdly specific things that are not very applicable to the vast majority, the absolute 99% of abilities in this game. But this is the sole exception in the mass. Very, very unique ability. I do like it a lot. We're going to be using it mainly as a zoning tool to zone enemies away. For example, we could use it like so to block an entire corridor, or to zigzag through a bunch of enemies like so and finish them off right away, or to simply spawn a bunch of lines that enemies cannot trespass, because the second that they actually try to, they're eviscerated by Chaotic Comedy, which is just very, very nice. It's quite busted, especially with Chaotic Comedy, as you have 3 charges. That's a huge amount of coverage. It's so freaking good, and you can use it in advance too, as this lingers for a short period of time. So take a mini boss room, for example, just predict where the boss will spawn, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, is always the exact same location. Cast this in advance, and the boss will die immediately on spawn, which is just so fucking busted. Let's move on to our standard, which does a very similar thing for us. It's going to be Twin Turbines, a very infamous ability. Very, very strong as a signature, or when enhanced. We don't need the enhancement, as we kill everything in one hit anyway, and the enhancement would just essentially double the damage this deals. It will be double the damage increase. Think of your dash, but as a very fast, high coverage, super versatile, projectile destroying ability. It's just so fucking busted. I can't even put this into perspective. So you shoot forth this kind of needle of electricity, which then flings back to you like a boomerang on the way, creating a certain pattern of lines of electricity. Now, when used properly, quote unquote, this thing will create a circle of electricity, or a circle of lines of electricity every single time, similarly to its icon, which suggests what this ability can look like. However, it can be modified. This kind of circle can be modified in particular ways. So when I cast it from over here, it will create a circle. Now, I didn't use it properly there. You have to cast it and then walk away a little bit from it, like so. And then you get a perfect circle every single time. So huge coverage, covers about an entire room. This room is already above average size, I'd say, when compared to the dungeon. So this thing is absolutely crazy good. Destroys all projectiles on the way. Just keep in mind that it is a projectile itself. So the innate unsplit lightning needle, I suppose, that you throw, if that ever collides with a projectile, it gets popped as well. So you don't want that happen. You don't want that to happen. I'm sorry, I'm just talking too fast for myself here today for whatever reason. You want to cast this in advance and then abuse its projectile destruction capabilities and its crowd control capabilities. You can even throw it like so to risk not losing it to any other projectiles. Now, these lines of lightning, as you could tell that by the final line, are always targeted towards your relative position, like so. So you can tilt them in all sorts of ways. You can walk into this ability if you want it to be more narrow, if you want it to hit more frequently in a certain area, but it's very hard to control, let me tell you. Like so, for example, you can tell it's just hitting a ton there. It's very versatile, it's super quick, super overpowered, especially in player versus player. This thing is busted as hell. I really, really love it a lot, and it's super fast. That's the important part. It's like your dash, but instantaneous and hitting pretty much guaranteed the entire room, also getting rid of pesky archers and mages projectiles and the likes. This is absolutely one of my favorite abilities against summoners, just getting rid of summons right away, or interrupting them, destroying their projectiles, etc. Just rendering them useless. I love this so much, it's so good. And our signature is gonna function in a very similar fashion, however, arguably it's a lot worse. It's an ability that is generally a lot worse and that I would generally not run as a signature. However, for today's purposes and intents, this is very, very good. It's Spark Array. So, you cast a bunch of sparks in a cone shape in front of your character that keep moving forward into the innate direction that you shot them in very, very slowly. And everything they touch, they deal damage to, similarly to any other kind of shocking sparks like twin turbines or circuit lines, for example, would do, right? The spark damage is always exactly the same. It deals a lot of damage, like a lot of ticks worth of damage, but only like 2 or 3 damage per tick. Very similar to all these other abilities. Sparks, generally speaking, always work the same way anyway. However, this has a huge coverage. It just takes a very long time to spread out. It's like a shotgun. Imagine a shotgun in a 180-degree angle, roughly, that moves very, very, very slowly, that you can easily walk out of. However, once this spreads, reaches about 120 degrees or so, no enemy will ever be able to escape from it. It will hit guaranteed the entire room and only bounce off of surfaces. Whenever one of these sparks hits a surface, like a statue standing around, for example, or wall, it gets destroyed. However, keep in mind that all of these individually one-shot enemies. They don't disappear either when hitting an enemy, they just pierce right through. And due to this being enhanced, or rather our signature, it will also fire sparks of lightning connecting back to us the player from these sparks flying out occasionally. This is entirely randomized, but it can definitely help you out like so to one-shot enemies unexpectedly. You have to be fairly close to the sparks though. You can't be too far away for this to happen. Like that, for example, would be pretty much too far. They can't be off screen in other words, but it has quite a considerable range. Considering that you will likely one-shot anything you come across anyway, I don't think that's gonna matter too much. But then again, it's slightly more useful than the Twin Turbines enhancement or signature, which simply makes the ability deal more damage. That's just not helpful at all. Whereas this at least creates additional hits that could potentially take care of given enemies, like a rogue. Say you do this and then a rogue teleports behind you, like he would clearly avoid the shotgun blast, but then maybe he would be finished off by these sparks connecting back to you. Who knows? Also, if you ever somehow manage to proc a signature, which is very hard, like you would pretty much have to find Jack's Ocarina to even do that with this run modifier, you would throw out the Disco Ball of Absolute Destruction. This is an atomic bomb of an ability. Nothing will ever survive this. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy with this run modifier. There's no way that anything can escape this, ever. It's crazy. I love it. I love watching it. It's super stunning. It's just so cool. So yeah, these are our abilities. We're going to be using Twin Turbine as a very quick way of covering large areas. We're going to be using Spark Array when preparing to engage into a room like so, and then walk after these, eviscerating everything. It's essentially just a growing wave, a tsunami of death. And then whenever we do have these on cooldown, for example, or we simply need additional support, we can use Circuit Line to cover corridors and rooms alike, and Vault Disc to cover large distances and finish off enemies right away, assuming that it is enhanced at that point. This is the only mandatory enhancement, whereas the other two just say deal more damage, which is entirely worthless. This one literally doubles the use of this ability, or triples it, because effectively you gain a ton of extra range. Which is just so crazy. I love this ability so much. So yeah, that's the build. I'd say let's get into the build specifics, shall we? I finally want to get playing, man. I'm so excited for this. Let's start things off with the recommended build playstyle, which should be fairly obvious. You gotta be very defensive and conservative. Stay in corners. Wait for your spark away. Spark away. Wait for your spark array. Wait for your other abilities. Wait for them to come off cooldown, and then, only then, enter a room. Always try and finish rooms risk-free. There are a lot of trap rooms that are very tiny, for example, for which a spark array or a circuit line are super risky to use, and just way too difficult to pull off. So maybe don't even enter the rooms, or simply don't go in there without having, for example, Vault Disc enhancement, or your Twin Turbines active, or the appropriate items, or the appropriate percentage on Bach's Escape. If you don't have 100%, don't go into tiny trap rooms. What will you gain from that? Well, money, usually. And what is money good for when you're already one-shot everything? Usually you want to be conservative with your ability use, and you want to try to end things quickly. So maybe try and see that red shop for a potential extra revive, like in Angelic Halo, for example. But other than that, just stay clear. Just clear the floor, find the exit, and then go for it. You don't have to 100% every floor. There's pretty much no advantage to that whatsoever. And especially for small rooms, you want to avoid them like the plague. Especially certain trap rooms that spawn you, or that trap you in the middle. You know, certain rooms teleport you to the middle of the room and then trap you in it, and then surround you with a bunch of enemies. Those are terrible for you, as even with these room-wide abilities, they usually fire in front of your character, not around your character in a 360-degree angle, so those rooms would be very devastating to you. Let's be fair. You want to avoid everything like that. Like the plague, you want to take care of explosive barrels, for example, in advance before actually heading into a room as well. So blindly fire into a room with a Twin Turbines, for example, to get rid of those barrels that you can see, as well as enemies that you may not be able to see. For example, say there's a room up here, right? I can fire the spark array. I don't have to look at it. I know that it's spreading throughout the room. and it's killing pretty much everything inside, and then I can walk a different direction while it's spreading out. It's gonna take a long ass time, so I can walk a different direction and check out a different room in the meantime. These abilities don't have the worst of cooldowns, especially when paired with the tempo robe, so you can use them loosely like that. Just fire them off blindly into a room. It's way better than actually risking dying to a barrel or to an enemy that you couldn't see, yada yada yada. There's a lot of rooms you may want to avoid. You want to be very defensive. That's the summary, I'd say. Other than that, where's the need for being offensive? Well, mini bosses and bosses. You want to finish them off immediately when they spawn. You don't even want to risk them being able to cast anything, to summon any ads, etc, etc. Rogues especially can be a pain in the ass. You can actually miss killing the rogue mini boss. I've had that happen multiple times. They just teleport faster sometimes than you can actually strike them, which is weird. So always try to hit them in advance. Always be smart about it. And when you actually fail to do so, acknowledge it in that given situation. I know it's hard. Dodge them, come back at them, hide, and then only come out of your cover once everything is dead. That's pretty much how you want to play. Burrow yourself in the ground and only come out once everything is destroyed. Let's move on to the potential problems. Besides being able to be killed in one hit, there are certain issues at hand here. I'd say the Wind Dungeon, generally speaking, is gonna be quite a troublemaker. Evasion is a bitch. You have to hit enemies multiple times. The first time will only get rid of the evasion, the second time will actually kill them. They are also a lot faster, generally speaking, than other dungeons. So wind can be a huge issue. I'd say there are certain trap rooms in the Earth Dungeon as well that poison you, or that try to poison you, which is a long-lasting debuff that deals X damage every single time for a long-ass period of time. You can't cleanse it, so you will die repeatedly, which is not very helpful at all when trying to remain alive, right? You cannot, under any circumstances, let yourself be poisoned or rooted, which both happen a lot in the Earth Dungeon. The traps there are very, very annoying. I'd say wind is a close second, and then other than that, the other elements are not so much of an issue, I'd say. Of course, you might argue that fire could be annoying to melee builds, because then you get burned and you die, likewise to being poisoned, but we're not playing a melee build here, so we don't have to be concerned about that. Frost isn't super hard either. Of course, I can get hit, frozen, then revive, and probably still be frozen and then die again. But I don't think that's very likely to happen whatsoever when you just kill everything in one hit. You just have to be very firm. You have to pay a lot of attention to using your abilities properly and actually connecting them. Make sure that they actually hit, because if they don't, you just die like an idiot, and you make yourself look like a fool dying to a trap or something. It's stupid. So pay attention, hit your abilities, and you should not run into any potential issues here beside certain status effects and certain attack patterns. For example, rooting. Rooting is a huge deal. Other Knight shields are a huge deal. Generally, Earth Dungeon, I'd say, is a huge deal to you. And not because you're running a full lightning build, but because of the nature of the Earth Dungeon. They can deflect, or rather reflect, projectiles back at you. And guess what? All of your abilities except your dash are projectiles. You cannot control these very easily, so just spray and pray and run away, take cover, because my god, you're gonna need some help. So yeah, let's move on to my favorite section. Recommended items in Arcana. I'd say Arcana are a lot more reliable, a lot more important. Naturally speaking, it's obvious, right? Whereas items can only do so much for you. Armor, as we said, is, for example, entirely worthless. Damage, crit chance, everything that comes with it is entirely worthless. Arcana just become a ton more valuable. Arcana, like evading Zephyr, that make you evade all attacks while running around, and the buff is active, are insane. Just, quite frankly, absolutely busted. Permafrost Bulwark is incredibly overpowered. I always pluck this every single video. I love this ability so much. It's my absolute favorite in this game. You encase yourself in a block of ice. You're invulnerable for the duration. You can break free at any given time, in the process dealing a huge chunk of damage around your character, which in this case is infinite anyway, so who cares. You can block an entire boss attack for a long-ass period of time and then break free whenever you need to. It's incredibly busted. It's like 100% evasion, plus an insane amount of damage on top. Twice when enhanced. because it damages not only when you break free, but also when you encase yourself immediately with a bunch of icy traps around you. It's so good. Jumps, generally speaking, are going to be very, very helpful as well. However, not as helpful as with other builds, as you still die on one hit. Jumps will give you iframes, so you can jump or dash through projectiles, for example, or inside of projectiles rather, because you are stuck in the air, and while stuck in the air, or while airborne generally speaking, you are entirely invulnerable, and you can't be hit neither by poison, nor by similarly working effects, nor by abilities, etc. Other than that, you don't have too many options, let's be honest. Anything that grants you a huge amount of extra cover, like the base 4 abilities that we're going to be using here already, is great, I suppose, but there are not that many abilities. One that definitely comes to mind is Bouncing Surge, which works very similar to Volt Disc. So you throw this Spear of Lightning, and then it bounces between multiple enemies, not just 2, but it can hit an entire room worth of enemies when enhanced. It's incredibly powerful for that reason. Anything else with a huge range is very much appreciated. Anything else that grants you a lot of coverage, for example, or that takes care of projectile destruction for you, like a Vortex Veil, like the Stalwart Defenders that attract enemies like a Frost Feint, those can be very, very powerful. Other than those abilities, I'd say there's pretty much nothing for you to gain. I suppose you could also make a point for static abilities, abilities that you place and that remain there for a short period of time. For example, like your dash, circuit line, or like the spark array. But I'm thinking more so earthen abilities that, or traps on the ground, like a certain fire ability I don't remember the name of, that you just put there. Like a magma rush, like the dash, for example, right? That you put there, they linger for a while, and then when an enemy gets too close to the trap, it will proc, dealing a bunch of damage, killing them instantaneously. So it's essentially extra area denial, but you don't really necessarily need anything. You don't have to heavily invest into it. It's not going to be super beneficial because you can still, at the end of the day, end up dying easily. I'd say AoE abilities that hit around your character, like the aforementioned jumps, Permafrost Bulwark, that straight up keep you alive, like Evading Zephyr or Fueled Berserk, or abilities like a Scales of Babylon, which is both AoE damage, makes you faster, pushes enemies away from you, deals a huge amount of damage, etc. Those can be very, very impactful, but generally speaking, you want whatever keeps you alive, not whatever deals more damage, because damage is not an issue when you kill everything in one hit. Other than abilities, there are only a handful of relics that I would consider interesting. Anything that grants you a huge amount of cooldown reduction, like a double toil, the Tozie's Broken Stopwatch, I believe it's called, etc., are very, very helpful. Right? Those items are very powerful. You don't care about taking double, triple, quadruple, quintuple damage. It just does not matter. You don't care about having a crit chance. So a bunch of extra evasion is also fantastic from Cursed Relics. A bunch of extra revives are fantastic, whether it be by the Safety Scissors, which actually do have a downside, or by the Flower Crown, by another Bach's Escape Key, by an Angelic Halo, etc. Generally speaking, Cursed Relics are your best friends. I don't think that items like a limited edition robe have any effect on you whatsoever. A Kasim's Eric Cloak arguably doesn't really either, because you have to be hit to proc it. But other than those, any super strong revives plus evasion are very much appreciated. In terms of extra damage, I'd highly recommend you pick up sprites, fairies, pixies, whatever you want to call them, as they deal damage occasionally at range, and they deal infinite damage. They kill one target for you, which is neat. They can definitely help you out a ton. Stones, likewise, could help you out, but they generally tend to deal damage around your character in a melee range, which can be nice. Arguably, that's a little bit of AoE coverage, 360-degree coverage, but they only proc occasionally, and depending on what stone you got, they are more or less useless. Like a Cobalt Firestone, for example, is not useful at all. It deals damage in a very, very tiny AoE around your character. You have to be very close and personal to enemies, so it's not going to be super impactful whatsoever, unless you intend to dash through enemies and therefore risk dying easily. Other than the stones, let me see, is there anything else that comes to mind? Yes, of course. The two items, what are they called? Are some of my absolute favorites, Special Snowflake and Whimsical Explodium, that make enemies explode in a rather large area around them when they die. And therefore every single explosion causes another enemy to die, which causes another explosion, etc. So you quickly create chains that can rotate through... Sorry. Oh, my throat is very dry. You quickly create chains of explosions that hit entire rooms and kill an entire room worth of enemies. Incredibly powerful, even during mini-boss fights. Let me take a sip here real quick. My voice is vanishing. Okay. I'd say, with all that out of the way, let's get into the run here. Do we try to avoid Earth? Yes, absolutely. I don't want to fight sped up Other Knights. Like, late game Other Knights. That's kind of a nightmare, to be honest. Living Courtyards? Yes. Let's get right into it. Let's double check. Yep, we got everything. Let's go. Earth, fire, and water. Okay, water can be a bit of an issue. Frost traps have a huge area of effect. They're not easily dodgeable whatsoever. Let's take care of the barrels. Keep my fair distance. Oh yeah. Keep in mind that late game slimes split multiple times, so they leave behind a bunch of smaller slimes. They are easily the hardest to kill, most dangerous enemy for the entirety of your run, as they can actually get you killed, and you can actually kill them easily. There's a bunch of traps. I don't want to enter that room whatsoever. No thank you. Also, there's gonna be an elemental Other Knight spawning there, for sure. Absolutely. There's just no way that's not gonna happen. Okay, we find our basic Arcana upgrade right away, and our dash, which is not mandatory, we really don't need it. Tearing Whirlwind can be super impactful, as it speeds us up and grants us a bunch of coverage. But we do want to enhance it. I will pick it up right away and speculate to find the enhancement soon. Die to poison. Works for me. Want to be very thorough here. It's okay to play things slowly. Bye, Taffy. It was nice meeting ya. Engulfing Fissure, that's the trap fire ability that I was referring to earlier, beside the Magma Rush dash. Couldn't think of the name. It's very nice. It has multiple charges, especially when enhanced. It has double the charges, I believe, which is nice. Very good. Now, I'm saying charges here, but it's not charges. You can't use this ability multiple times, but you place a bunch of traps on the floor, roughly where you use this ability, which then will burn enemies and deal a bunch of damage to them, aka infinite damage, which is nice. It can definitely block off an entire corridor, but it can also likely be missed easily. It's usually this plus sign, but as you can tell by this lack of a plus here already, it can be missed rather easily. You have to stand in the middle of this corridor for none of the flames to despawn. But yeah, look at that cooldown, man. That's crazy low. Breezy Grey can grant extra evasion. Windstone can be super useful. So can the Hummingbird Feather. Then I can actually walk across pits. I think all of those are very good choices. Just play things very slowly here. I am, after all, quite out of practice. Damn, I feel my nose closing up. I feel like I am literally getting sick as we speak. That is some crazy bad timing. I got a very, very busy week ahead. Or rather, a very busy month. I've actually recently acquired a flat, and I'm gonna be moving very soon. Also, I got 3 weeks full of training at my company. Or at my job. It's not my company per se, right? At my workplace. Loads and loads of training the next 3 weeks. Very shit timing to be sick. But is there ever a good timing to be sick? There's never a good time to be sick. Never. What do we do? I think all of these are fantastic. Windstone is probably my favorite, as this is easily the best stone out of all the stones for what we wanted to do. I think I'll just grab it. I think this can be super, super powerful. Of course, the exit is in the final room that we didn't check out. Or next to the final room. Always gotta double check that the traps are done. Don't want to be hit by any bullshit there. Of course, I did not make nearly enough money to be able to afford anything else here. Oh well, kinda sucks. I would have really liked the hummingbird. Which is kind of weird to say, to be honest. If you think about it, it's just such a useless item, usually speaking. But, kind of trying to concentrate here. Not having the easiest of times, not gonna lie. Probably another sign that I'm getting sick again. Try to slow things down as I notice my absolute monkey brain fucking things up already. Oh, it's starting to fuck things up. Spark. Okay. Just stand over here. Which is perpendicular to the spawn locations. So I can more easily cover a large distance and therefore likely kill everything spawning right away. Okay. I am not gonna get the Robe upgrade here right away, as I might get to see a very lucky green shot here. I think that's quite unlikely, but it might happen, you never know, right? That's a beautiful room, by the way. I really like that one. With the statues and the flowers. Absolutely gorgeous. My voice is vanishing again, it's quite painful right now, not gonna lie. Nothing great in here. I don't have summons, so hardcover doesn't really do much. Even if I did have summons, I wouldn't do too much. Doesn't increase the amount of summons, it just increases the maximum amount of currently active summons. There are 2 archers in there. And a bunch of barrels. Let's take care of them swiftly. Rogues. Destroy a bunch of obstacles while I'm away with the spark array. Rogues again. Neat thing is, since I kill them immediately, they can't teleport. That's good. Finally, revenge for those pesky bastards called rogues. Tearing Whirlwind upgrade, that's very nice. It's a lot of movement speed. Now, I definitely do not want to enhance too many abilities, as it's actually quite beneficial not enhancing everything, because then I can reasonably pick up that one, what's it called, Equilibrium or something? The Cursed Relic, which unenhances all of your abilities, and for each unenhanced ability grants you extra base damage, but for each ability that was unenhanced in the first place, it grants you cooldown reduction. So the more unenhanced your abilities... Sorry, what did I just say? The more unenhanced abilities you have, the more cooldown reduction it will grant, which is a lot more beneficial than extra base damage, which does nothing, quite literally, for us. We only deal 1 damage anyway. What do you need base damage for, man? You don't need it. Simple. Just like the shark mask, you really don't need it. It looks nice, but... Is it gonna do anything? Nope. Not so much. Goodbye. I'll chop here. Okay, Inferno Cannon. I'm not really gonna be using that, I don't think. That's very fast-paced movement, which I associate with a lot of risk, because it's easy to miss. It is, after all, quite a narrow skill shot, additionally, so not easy to hit, not easy to use. Definitely not gonna be using that. Okay, gotta keep in mind that at some point archers and rogues, etc., will be needed to be dodged. For example, late game rangers generally shoot multiple times, not just once. Again, generally speaking, there are certain elemental projectiles like the shuriken that the fire rogues in this dungeon throw, which are curved. They can easily hit you. They can easily wrap around and hit you even after you dodging them purposely. I'll be getting rid of these two as they kind of irritate me. I want to keep my inventory as clean as possible with only the most necessary and actually useful of items. These two definitely do not belong. Now, Demi's teapot could be incredibly overpowered. If we were to actually find the... what's it called again? The buff Arcana. What's it called again? I can't think of the name, man. Evading Zephyr, right. It increases the duration of any buff ability. And that's the only buff ability that we care for at all. And it's easily one of the best combinations that we could possibly ever hope to find. It's super, super powerful. Okay. Take it very slowly. Don't allow my monkey brain to fuck up. Of course, I could sell, and I think I will, as the aforementioned buff is quite expensive, and so is the Demi's teapot. Okay. So far, so good. There's no need using Spark Ray or any of the other abilities here, as they are just much, much slower. Oh shit. That's the first Bach's escape key proc. Ooh boy, first of the run. That is way earlier than I was hoping for. Now let's pop that. Okay, there's nothing interesting inside, so no need to proc that trap room. If you walk to the middle of that room, it procs a trap, locks you in with 2 knights, if I recall correctly. But I might be wrong on that. Might be wrong about that. No thanks. I don't want another trap room. And that's quite narrow too. It's very easy being hit in that. Exit. Fantastic. Now, I definitely want graduation cap and Demi's teapot, because with the graduation cap, I might be able to find the graduation relic, or combine to achieve that in order to double my relic drops, which will likely show a wider selection of potentially helpful items. Okay. Man, rogues are such assholes. It's crazy. Whoo! Man, my stress level is over 9,000 right now. It's not even fun. This is just pure stress. Pure distress right now. I can't be hit. I've already been hit. It's crazy. I've taken minus 5,000 damage here. Crazy. Probably because I just healed for that much. Damn, hit on 2-1. That is kind of embarrassing. That's one of those rooms that you would really want to dodge. It's very, very dangerous. Just do this. Take our sweet, sweet time. Get rid of obstacles. The less visually cluttered everything is, the more easily I will dodge things. Really have to pay attention to every last bit of detail here. Okay, a lot of evasion here from the boots. 40%, 45% from Nox Heavenly Boots. Right, that's very helpful potentially. Potentially run winning. Kasim's Area Cloak. It's the only somewhat helpful thing in here. I don't know about that. I still have to be hit for that. Okay, that was very risky. I shouldn't have used Tearing Woman there, because these knights can actually pretty much devastate me with a fire shield right away. I definitely don't want a Tearing Woman there either, as he can just cast a fireball at my face and finish me off. Play it very slowly here, cover every angle around me. I really want that sweet Zephyr, so I will have to go through this very annoying, very dangerous trap room. I'm just hoping for summoners, not for the black guys, not for summons. Okay, it's knights. That's a very good outcome too. Okay, this is the wave phase room, very dangerous. And it has another trap in it, which I'm terrible at dodging. I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I can do that. I think that's just way too risky. One, two. It's because of the flames visually being there for so long. I feel like it's very hard to tell when you're actually good to just dash through. So I will avoid it entirely, like the plague. I don't give a shit. You can call a skill issue. It's true. Okay, use the whirlwind to get out of the way in case any of them actually somehow manage to get any projectiles through. And then we don't want Kasim's just dodge. Just keep going. Now Zeal, of course, is very easy here. We just have to hit it once. Of course, you can always use one of your abilities, either your standard or your signature in advance, before actually heading into boss room. But you don't really need to do so. Calming Flow is a buff. I don't want to go for that, no. Just makes things a lot more complicated and kind of pointless, to be honest. It's just way worse than the Engulfing Fissure, which is quite a versatile ability for us. Okay, let's throw this and this, just in case. There might be something left alive. Yep. Always make sure to not fall into a pit. Always walk all the way. Play around the corner. No need to be the hero here. Was that a mimic, or did I just instantly pop the chest? I don't know. Tattered won't do anything for me. It's also not detrimental per se, but since it won't do anything for me at all, I won't pick it up. That was way too risky. I should have used one of my zoning tools there. Same here, just played better. I'm making too many mistakes right now. Ooh, dude. I'm just not doing well right now. Okay. Another stone? Yes. A key? Yes. That's potentially an invading Zephyr, which could absolutely save this run. Which is not even lost yet, but to me, 50%, that's be hit once and you're dead, which is a Pride Road run, which I've never done. I don't like doing that. Just too much pressure. Pressure makes the game unfun. I like having fun, I like being able to relax, and this is quite the opposite. It forces you to be on your toes at any given time. Where do we gotta go? Oh, Tattered Scroll. I do see it now. If I fumble my controller aim even once, and I end up accidentally hitting diagonal on a dash that is supposed to not be diagonal, and then I fall into a pit, like, man, the pressure of being cringe is quite high. The stakes are quite high today. Hey, cool, that hit somehow. Just walk it off. Same here, walk it off. That should be able to kill everything. Alright, easy room. Come on, dude! I need more evasion, please! Right, let's just walk our way back. I don't really mind. Now that large room there seems like, you know, the trap room, or wave-based. Max Sphere to get rid of projectiles hitting me, but projectiles are not really the issue, it's more so everything that's melee and very close to me. It is a buff though, it would work with the, what's it called? Japanese teapot. Also a rapid fire agent. Agents are super strong, but this one doesn't move around a ton. It's quite stationary and it has a very short range. So since this is also affected by chaotic combat, it gets hit in one. It gets killed in one hit. Sorry, it's not super useful. Flame Fusion has a huge range, but again, my main issue is not range. It's not coverage. It's being surrounded, helpless. Not really a fan of those abilities per se. Definitely looking specifically for that evading Zephyr here. Okay. I'm trying to cover everything around me. Haha, Calvins. I don't think they are active, are they? They don't seem to be. That kind of blows. Would have been quite helpful. But since I believe you need to be at a certain percentage of your max HP for these kind of conditional items to ever be able to activate, adds a chance to evade while at low health. I'm not at low health, I'm at full health. My max HP is 1, so this can never actually proc. That's at least what I'm assuming. So yeah, that kind of blows. Would have been very good. That's a lot of extra evasion chance on top of my 45%. Let's check Bucks. It's at 50. Oh man, trap room. I cannot afford missing. And I keep fucking things up. Can't afford being hit by your shit either. No summons, no projectiles. Fuck you. Dr. Song. Oh my god, you guys! This is kind of ridiculous, but at least I can use her. What items does she have that could potentially be useful? None, as far as I can recall. It's either increased healing or more healing, or crit chance or extra damage. All of which are very useless. I don't think she has any evasion-related stuff. Definitely want to play around corners, definitely don't want to... Oh shit. Oh my god, I just got hit by the trap! Oh god, at least I'm still alive. Could have been much worse. Always gotta keep that in mind. I really want to play around corners. I did see the trap, I wasn't aware there was one below me as well. Okay, spark. Take care of the summoners and the mages. Those definitely mean a ton of trouble. Now, in last week's terms, I would have still had 3 charges of my Alice Glass Guide. Here, I am very much struggling to stay alive. I like that. It's very thrilling, but also, I really hate it. It's so stressful. Okay, watch out for those traps. Oh god. I see a lemur's leaf. Oh no, dude. How do I even get past that? Oh no. I'll have to go through it, won't I? Oh well, this is very well where things might end. Just shoot into the room. I'm pretty sure there's 2 knights in there. Okay. Holy shit, you absolute legend. How did you just manage to do that? Okay, I can use a trick here. Can I? I guess not. I guess I can actually destroy these icicles. Okay, there's nobody left alive. I really want my green. So let's add in here. Chaos Scanner, that's not super useful. The Banker. Okay, no. Lemur Sleeve, yes. I could work around it, but I'm terrible at it, so... It's just a potential run saver. Right. Oof. Oh my god, he just walked right past the sparks there. Mad pro- Oh my god, dude, what? We actually found it! Oh my god, that is crazy! We actually found a Burning Zephyr! Okay, I gotta put it on my melee slot. And Zonia's Hourglass. I'm not sure this can ever proc. Oh, sorry. Pharynx's Hourglass, whatever the hell the name may be. Why did I say Zonia's? Isn't that a League of Legends item? I'm not sure. But it's gonna work very similarly. Which is, if we actually had more than 1 max HP, I don't think this can ever proc even when we die. I'll try it out though, I'll test it. Potentially, I just can't take damage. Okay, what's next? God, I'm being such a massive pussy, but rightfully so, I can die in 1 hit. What is next? Anything? I think we beat it. We got the Zephyr. Okay, let's try to kill Freya in advance, just because she might be too fast for us. Spark proc. Oh no, it's again, because of the fucking cutscene. Look at that sweet, sweet Zephyr duration. Ooh, that's very, very, very good. Water Pulse Agent. That is incredibly good. Has a huge shotgun spread, very similar to our Spark Array. So it's going to be very helpful for the first room here. Definitely want my Zephyr for the second room too, as shenanigans can get quite annoying. Gotta make sure that these rooms are full cleared, as sometimes they do open while there's still enemies left alive. Oh. I can't believe we actually found it. And then there's Alice Glasscat as well. Okay, that's literally a free win. Not that I need that at this point, but it's a free win, so thank you very much. Holy shit, that was so stressful. I'm definitely not gonna do another loop of this. That was more than enough adrenaline. Alright, Water Pulse is just gonna finish this by itself. Okay, maybe not, man. So stressful. I'm just not used to this. That was nice. That was very fun. I definitely do not need that again. Let's drop these babies. These bad boys. Let's just drop everything. Holy moly, dude. I came way closer than I ever thought I would to dying. 2-1. 2-1, man, forever absolutely burned into the backside of my brain. Ooh, that rogue hitting me with the fiery dash. Oh boy. Oh, and I got very close earlier on with the fire shuriken as well. And then another 2 times or so where I used tearing whirlwind to dispose of the black guys, but I really did a poor job at this. Man, what a rough run. I hope you had some fun. I hope you could at least somewhat relate to my gut feeling of just sucking ass and feeling like I would die any second. Any fucking second. Man, so much distress. If this is your cup of tea, go ahead, try it out. Feel free to make it even more risky by not using these huge room-covering abilities that are super versatile and fast like Twin Turbines. Just maybe use Spark Array and similar abilities that are just super slow and can actually miss rather easily. Oh, Water Pulse Agent, which I would consider quite strong, but not 100% reliable, and it dies in 1 hit after all. So feel free to to play a build like this and make it even riskier. But to me, this is already as far as I will ever go. I don't like Pride Robe runs. This is essentially a Pride Robe run. I'm just glad it's finally over. I'm so surprised at myself that I actually managed to finish this, even without abusing Zephyr and without abusing the Alice Glass card that I found at the very end there. I'm just happy that it's finally over and that I will never have to go back. I hope you had a good time, and as per usual, I wish you all a good morning, a good day, or a good night, wherever you are. And until next time, I'll catch you. Bye bye.